Welcome. This is your daily reading for Wednesday. Keep in mind, though, these are timeless readings, so you will come across them when you need to. We'll take a look at current situation and some energies around that and where it may possibly lead. Keep in mind, this is a collective reading. Take what resonates. And please be sure to hit that thumbs up button and give us a comment. It really does help to connect better. Even better if you could leave where you're from in the comments. That does just give a general connection to who's watching and connecting to those energies. So let's get started. What we got going on? Oh. Ah. Maybe. So I'm using the Somia Tarot for the reading and the Somnia to clarify. I've got two different decks. Okay, so current situation, Hangman. Present influence is the King of Cups. Where does, or unexpected, I am sorry, let's see. Unexpected is Seven of Pentacles. Challenge, Three of Pentacles. Strength, Five of Pentacles. Where does this lead? Nine of Swords, Nine of Cups, and Five of Swords. Knight of Swords is at the bottom of the deck. That feels to me a lot like, wanting to get started, having that Knight of Swords, like come in, that chaotic energy, that swift momentum, like something's going on here. But what's interesting is to have that Hangman. It's like, okay, whoa, put the brakes on, put the brakes on. I feel like that's what this is. This is the energy of go, 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 go. And then the Hangman comes in as stop, put those brakes on. Let's see what's happening here before we move too far. And that's what we have in the current situation is the Hangman. I feel like there is this energy of, okay, wait, time out. Kind of feeling like, like when you get in, this is the Knight of Swords, when you get into a situation and you start focusing and all of a sudden you have all of these, bells going off, oh, over there. And then you get, really distracted by other ideas, other things, there's like that feeling of just, which way do I go? What do I do? That's the feeling I'm getting with that Knight of Swords. You had some ideas, you started getting into it, and then all of a sudden everything's kind of, all of these things are coming in, and they're like, is this too much? Whoa, take a step back. And that's the Hangman, take that step back. So right now I feel like you're evaluating all of those bells that have gone off, no matter what they are. This could be any kind of situation, for instance, if this is like a relationship that you're not, you maybe you've just started or it's fairly new and it's like exciting and you've got all of these things all of a sudden coming in and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? So that's the feeling I'm getting. The reason why I say it could be a relationship is we have the King of Cups and the influence there, but more so I feel like there's this energy of unsure too. How I feel about the King of Cups. He's kind of, floaty. He's like, okay, well, let's go with the flow. And a lot of times that's really important. But I almost feel like you're wondering if this is the right avenue for you. That's why all of this energy, that's why the Hangman's there, right? Like, is this really what I want to do? Just kind of go with the flow, or do I want to be more precise, or how am I going to deal with this? Now, for some of you, that could be a person. It doesn't have to be male, but it could be a person that, maybe there's someone that's come in. Okay, there's a couple different situations depending on your situation. So if you're, had started a kind of somewhat new relationship, or it's just kind of getting off and then someone else comes in, makes you go, oh, shoot, all of a sudden, all of these things, like, am I like settling down too quickly? Am I making too quick of a decision? Or if it's just one person, it's like, okay, well, things are starting to get serious. And then all of a sudden you're getting these ideas. Now, The ideas could be positive, they could be negative, they could be a little bit of both, but there's just these bells going off, and the bells aren't necessarily bad bells, okay? So they're ideas, they're thoughts, they're probably a little bit again of both, where you're just kind of like completely distracted by all of these things that are coming in around you. So let's clarify this King of Cups first. Let's get this King of Cups. I feel like it's like for some of you, this is definitely just not making a decision on what you want to do. You're kind of like going with the flow, where you might need to narrow what you're doing, or narrow it down. Tell me about the King of Cups. Yeah, Ace of Pentacles, Temperance. Oh, King of Swords. Yeah. So, if there a new opportunity being that Ace of Pentacles with the Temperance, and I feel like the Temperance is you realize you can make things happen. You can alchemize the situation. In other words, bring that fire and water together. Those are just, a metaphor, but bringing things together to really make them work. Now we have the Three of Pentacles in the challenge. So there's that too. We'll get to it. But, and I'm thinking that you might have to bring other people on board. It might be hard. But the King of Swords is that, do I, I feel like this is that Hangman though. I feel like I'm kind of like the King of Swords. I need to have a direction. The King of Cups is he can he can just kind of go with it, like he doesn't have to have that direction. The King of Cups can more easily fit in like into anything. Like, okay, well, maybe this doesn't work, so we'll try this. He's very flexible. Where the King of Swords is not so flexible. He's got his ideas, he's got his direction, and he's going to go, and that's what he's going to do. So I really feel like, and with um, the Temperance is you're trying to make things happen, and really trying to get things to work. So that's, since this is an influence, that's what's causing you to be in this Hangman, kind of like, I know I need more direction, I know I need to do this to really pull this together. However, I want to be easy and kind of go with the situations as they come up. I don't want to be distracted, or not distract yeah, I don't want to be distracted. I want to have real focus. So let's clarify this Hangman. What is the Hangman telling us? Ah, okay, I'm going to pause. I got to reach down and get that card. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. So, what is the Hangman? 10 of Wands, 2 of Pentacles, Ace of Cups. Oh, yeah, some of you, this absolutely could be in a relationship. But it's definitely, if it is, that's what you're thinking about. This has been really hard to implement this situation, which is something new. Now, some of you, it's absolutely a relationship, but for some of you, it's just something that's really important to you, something that you're really trying to work on or get started. It's a start. Like, I want to start painting, I don't know, create my own business, but doing something I love, because that's the Ace of Cups. But the Hangman is you realizing that, wait a minute, I've got too many, this is the too many things going on. How do I balance all of this? And that's exactly why you're in, because you really want to start something. You had the Ace of Pentacles clarifying that King of Cups. You've got the Ace of Cups clarifying here. There's definitely something that you want to start, or that is starting, and you really are feeling like there's too much right now going on. The 10 of Wands, well, the 10 of Wands, I feel like, is like all of the things, and the 2 of Pentacles is figuring out how to balance it all in, how to carry these pentacles and stand on 3 chairs. How am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to balance this out? And to me, it feels legit. Like, what do I, making those choices on what to do next. You have the 7 of Pentacles in the unexpected. Now, the 7 of Pentacles to me is a lot about the patience, right? You have to plant the seeds. if you don't take care of those seeds once you've planted them, don't expect them to grow. You know, some may sporadically grow. They're more hardy, plants, right? This could be ideas, but you kind of have to nurture these ideas. You have to do that. And I think that's what the realization is that you see right away the things that you're nurturing, the things that you're taking care of are coming to grow, to become their own thing, so to speak. So I do feel like that comes in at not as a surprise, but unexpectedly, while you're trying to sit here and hangman, you realize that if you have to give things room to grow. So it's not only, right, taking care of them, you have to weed around them. You let bad ideas in, or bad, habits in, or bad things in, and you don't weed those bad things out, doesn't have room to grow. So this is really, like, I think, an epiphany that comes in. And the reason why I say it's epiphany, you may know this in your heart of hearts. I know this, right? You know this, but I feel like something grows and it makes it very obvious that you're giving it room to grow, where maybe another idea you're not giving room to grow. Let me see. Tell me more about the seven, something like that. Relationship wise, you could take it that way as well. Tell me more about the Seven of Pentacles. Two of Swords, Ten of Pentacles, Page of Wands. What do I begin with? What do I start with? That Page of Wands to me is a lot like an Ace of Wands energy. It's young, it's excited, you want to get excited. But until you put one of those swords down and really see what happens. What I feel like happens here, to be honest with you, is someone puts the sword down for you, or something happens where it kind of affects you in a family way, a home way. Something happens here. This Ten of Pentacles could be home, work, money. Something happens, but what happens is, because this is an unexpected thing, you're not the one putting down the sword. Something else happens that puts the sword down for you. In other words, makes the decision for you. And I feel like that is like, okay, well, now I got to do something. I got to take care of my home, family, money, whatever, family situation. And the Page of Wands is that kick in the butt. So the Page of Wands has that energy. He's young, right? He is young, ready to go. Like, once they have an idea, they don't think too much about it and are ready to just move forward. And that's why it's almost like, whether it's the universe or something happens that says, I'm taking away one of these swords, and you have that freedom now to really move forward, it kind of clears things up. Again, the weeding I talked about. You've got other things in the way, and until you get those out. But I feel like the reason why this whole card is in the unexpected pieces, it's not you that makes the decision. And once that happens, you can start seeing things grow. So what do we got here? The Three of Pentacles is your challenge. The Three of Pentacles is about working as a team, working together. It's also putting all your skills together. So the Three of Pentacles in the Rider White, you see three people working on a project. And to me, I look at that as masters. So you have someone that's really good at the planning or the drawing, or the architect. And then you have the design person that can really come in and design. And then you have the person that can really pull everything together, maybe the leader. Just, these are people that have these abilities. And I feel like there's something here that, either you're trying to locate people that can stimulate other areas for you. Like, if you're, or if it's a relationship, the challenge is, are you benefiting each other? Are you both helping each other grow? Is this a true cohesive relationship where it's, both giving to the relationship? It could be totally different ways, right? And that's what I like about the Three of Pentacles being three people doing different things, but coming together, they make great things. That's a good relationship if you can do that. So the challenge may be looking for that or finding that. Let's see if we can clarify that. a little bit more on the Three of Pentacles. What is the Three of Pentacles in the challenge telling us today? Okay, Hangman. The Seven of Wands. There's maybe something false here happening. So there's something here where, you have been doing the self-reflection, Hangman. Seven of Wands, really standing almost firm on how to do something, and you're assuming that that's what's going to bring you joy. Now, the reason why I say assuming, we're talking about a challenge here. The card in the challenge position, and the Seven of Wands is maybe you're being a little bit stubborn. And you might be being stubborn because you still want to process this. So I'm going to be really stubborn because the most important thing is to bring me joy. So it may be a little bit of a selfish take on things. Nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying this in a bad way, but it's something to watch for. Is if this is a team effort, if this is a relationship of any kind, whether it be love or family or friends or teammates, work teammates, understand that everybody's happiness is at stake, right? It's not just yours. But I do feel like there's something here where you may, and then for some of you also, this could be where you think working with other people is what's going to really bring you joy when it may not be that at all, where you just need to kind of dig in alone and do it. So take this as it resonates, but that Three of Pentacles definitely is the challenge in one way or another about a group of people or other people, and the ability to enhance each other and not, like step on each other, right? You have two people together with the same skill set, and sometimes that can butt heads and sometimes it can be wonderful. So again, that's like all in action, how you work with it. You have the Five of Pentacles in the Strength. Now I like this because it says you're ready to take a different route. You understand. So when you see the Five of Pentacles in the Rider White, right, they're walking by the church. They're wounded, they're hurt, they're down on their luck. They're walking by this church and they don't, the church window's lit, but they keep walking. Why do they keep walking? Maybe they don't see it, but I don't think in it when it's in a position of strength, it's no, that didn't work for me before. I need to do this in a different way. I need to find something different to move forward. And that's a strength because you realize you can't keep doing things the same way over and over and expecting new results. And it almost feels in a sense like an epiphany. He is hidden in this barrel, but to me, it's like it comes out with the Hangman as well. You're going to realize I've got to do this differently. The same way has not worked. Now it does lead to the Nine of Swords, which is stress, anxiousness. Is this all going to work? Is this going to come together? Is this situation, especially if someone else dropped a sword for you. In other words, that could be not a huge tower moment, but it could be a slight tower moment where, oh, crud, now what? So anytime we're making changes or doing things differently, that Nine of Swords is not a surprise. Because if you really want to get to your Nine of Cups, sometimes you have to go through the Nine of Swords. It's not easy, but it's something that, you're almost to the 10 anyway. So it's, but that Nine of Swords, keep in mind, a lot of times that anxious thoughts come from not knowing what's going to happen. So instead of just allowing things to happen, put some energy in so that you're more consciously involved in what's taking place. And that does help with anxious thoughts or stress. It's not going to take away all the stress because if someone else dropped a sword for you, it could change areas in your life, like that Ten of Pentacles, like your finances or something where you're like, ah, shoot, what am I going to do? Tell me more about the Nine of Swords. Justice, Page of Wands, Tower. Didn't I just say the Tower? So, yeah, there's definitely something to brewing here. And I think it has to do with the justice is about the right thing. It could be definitely about excuse me, right or wrong, or it could be, well, it could, you know, like a legal suit. It depends, but more importantly, it feels like balance to me, like putting things, you know, scaling things out, figuring out what's going to work. But you want to move ahead, and there's that page of wands, right? I really want to just get started. I want to go. I want to start moving. The tower comes in and shifts all of that. And then that's what causes the stress. It's not necessarily negative because we have the Nine of Cups next, but there could be, I think this again has to do with that Two of Swords. You realize that these changes that happened, good or bad, you were not making that decision, right? Someone made that decision for you. So let's take a look at this Nine of Cups because that's kind of nice. It leads to like either, in a sense, it's about realizing your dreams. I feel like now I'm going to say that because we do have the Five of Swords next. You know, again, I always say nothing worth having is easy. Um, and we all sometimes want it to be, but it's not. And I think once we get that out of our head that I can do it, I know it's not easy, but I can do it. But I think there is a realization of what you really, really want here. Um, and and I think it's like opening up things for you. Tell me more about the Nine of Cups, please. Tell me more about this Nine of Cups. Nine of Pentacles, High Priestess, the moon, things are clearing up. They're starting to see what's happening here. You know, you have the Nine of Pentacles, which says you are a successful person. You've got this. The High Priestess, trust yourself. I feel like this is, in some sense, like a my dream. This is what your dreams are, right? Kind of to be successful, but understanding yourself. Like this could be intuition, yes, but it also could be about understanding yourself better, you know, putting that effort in. But the moon is like I can see things very clearly now on what I need. It's like you understand what your dreams are. So even though that Nine of Swords happens, yeah, it's stressful or whatever, but what happens in those moments is a very clear, this moon is all about things clearing up, is seeing what your real joys are, what's really important to you. It's like it puts it all together. It doesn't take long. Keep in mind these are daily readings, so this isn't like, you know, but I feel like there's a vision now. That's what the Nine of Cups is, that vision of I know how to get there, or I know where to start. I know what I want. I know what's important to me. There's some that change, that tower that clarified that Nine of Swords is what made it very clear. Also, the Seven of Pentacles up here at the top with the unexpected energy. Yes, I know what I need to do. Now we have the Five of Swords after that. You know, the Five of Swords, the way I see this one is he's just really going, I'm all tied up trying to reach these swords. It does say this is not going to be an easy climb. And I think what it is though, is you're realizing what ropes are holding you back. What's keeping you from reaching those five swords? What is it? And that's what you kind of are working through. Why am I stuck? Why? Because the Five of Swords is not real. It's not an Eight of Swords. In this deck, I do read it differently because he's got to decide how to get rid of those ropes. Does he keep fighting with the ropes attached? Does he figure out a way to untie himself from those ropes so he can reach those Five of Swords above him? You know, the Rider White, the Five of Swords is a lot about, you know, someone fighting unfairly. And this is unfair in the sense that he's being tied up and asked to reach those. Like, okay, really? That's not fair. Um, and at any point in the other, if you're talking about the Rider White, you see someone walking away from the fight, you see someone dead, and you see a winner. So you see all of the outcomes that could possibly happen in any fight. And especially if you think something's not fair, then you walk away from it. And this is that. I'm tied up. How do I reach this? Do I stop? Do I keep doing this and stay tied up? Do I figure out how to get rid of the ropes first? Which my inclination is get rid of the ropes first. Figure that out before you expend all your energy trying to do this with your hands tied. I feel like almost that this happens for you. Again, that Tower, Two of Swords. Tell me more about the Five of Swords. Yeah, Seven of Swords, Nine of Swords, Strength. Yeah, this is you finding that strength because it's not easy. This Seven of Swords looks hard. Kind of reminds me of a Ten of Wands in a way, right? But at the same time, do you have to have all those swords? Did someone did you think that I need to take all of this with me, all of this junk, all of this other stuff? And then the Nine of Swords is that anxiousness. I need to have everything. I need to have everything before I can get started, before I can move forward. I got to have it all. And then the eight, the sword or the strength card is, I have this strength. So the Five of Swords here is telling you that yes, things are going to take a little bit of work. Again, what do you need to really look at here with the Seven of Swords? This is saying you don't need everything. Like when you see the Seven of Swords and he goes steal those swords, does he need them all? Why is he stealing them all? Right? And now he's got the heavy burden of taking these with him. It's kind of like a Six of Swords almost. Like, what can you leave behind? Like, what can you not carry around with you? Do you need to have all of that? All of the baggage, all of the ideas? There's something, again, back to the chaos, right? You don't need to have all of that because that's only causing you stress. However, I think what happens with this whole idea about this Five of Swords is you finding that strength to understand that you need to untie those ropes before you move forward. And I think that's a key here in this reading. And that's you realizing that. That's not a piece of advice card. That's like you realizing this is how I'm going to untie these ropes. This is how I'm going to move forward. There's a lot of work being done here, but something does come in for most of you in a surprising way. And what it does is it stresses you out because it wasn't your choice. However, it allows you to free yourself up to move forward and finally, remove those ropes that are holding you back to really, you know, um, make this dream happen. The Nine of Cups. Okay, so I'm going to pull an advice card. What is our advice for today? The Hierophant. I mean, honestly, there's a couple things here. So for those of you who have a lot of faith and, really do a lot of faith work, you know, understand that you can always take a moment and connect with your higher power, whether that's through prayer or meditation or whatever, however you do that. And I think that's important when we don't know what to do, when we know that the old ways didn't work, and we know this because it's in our strength. Sometimes it helps to just take a moment and let our higher selves guide us. And then also, though, because it all depends on you as a person, because that's not going to work for everybody, is to, the Hierophant is the leader of education and faith. And, you know, if you're struggling on how to move forward, I think some of the ideas is to really do research, dig in. Don't be afraid to have to learn something. And it all depends on your age, right? Younger people tend to be more apt to want to learn. Well, it's all of us. But there's also something that's hard about that, especially if you feel like you should know something. And that Three of Pentacles being in your challenge of, maybe you have skills that you've already mastered. Maybe it's time to master new ones. I feel like the Hierophant is saying, look at all your options, but not just, in your head, like do research, figure it out. Don't use the learning tools that you have, which could be Google, or AI. Use those things to really allow yourself to learn more about what you want to do next, or maybe a stumbling block that you have. Use that. I would also say that it doesn't hurt to take a moment and ask your higher self for guidance as well, or to show you the way, or to give you some kind of sign, because those are always nice to get if you're struggling getting started with something. But there you have it. There's your reading for today. Take care. Have a beautiful day.